Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome back to the Diplomatic Talk program. In this program, we are going to discuss the diplomatic relations between Germany and Uzbekistan. But before we proceed, let's explore Germany. Germany is the seventh largest European country, covering an area of over 357,000 square kilometers. The population of Germany is approximately over 83 million people. Germany has the biggest economy in the EU, followed by France and Italy. In 2021, about 786,000 people worked in Germany's automotive industry, which is the biggest in Europe. When children enter school, they receive a cone of gifts called childhood, containing toys or sweets. The cone is a symbol of entering serious life and a way to ease the stress of being in a strange environment. With over 1,500 different types of sausages, Germans have a sausage for every occasion, from bratwurst to currywurst. Each region has its own specialty. Germany is the home to many breathtaking castles. In fact, there are around 20,000 castles in Germany, possibly as many as 25,000, from glorious Neuschwanstein, which inspired Disney's Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty castles, to the ancient Nuremberg Castle, where parts date back to the 11th century. These palaces and castles are endlessly fascinating for tourists and locals alike. Germany has been celebrated as the world leader in recycling. Over the last 2 decades, Germany has adopted a series of strategies such as mandatory waste sorting policies and an extremely efficient deposit refund scheme that have significantly improved its waste management and increased its recycling rates. The country also introduced a so-called Energiewende, a roadmap to the low-carbon and renewable energy transition, and in shaping the public opinion on the importance of environmentally sound management of waste. Now let's move to relations between Germany and Uzbekistan.
Germany and Uzbekistan have maintained bilateral relations since 1992. Germany has an embassy in Tashkent. Regular consultation formats are in place that focus on political, economic, and cultural cooperation between Germany and Uzbekistan. Following reciprocal visits by the two heads of state in 2019, cooperation has been expanded. This included the establishment of Innovation Partnership.
Germany is supporting political efforts to liberalize the economy by providing consultancy services, and it is helping with Uzbekistan's reform process, in particular in the spheres of development cooperation. In May 2023, the foreign ministers of Germany and Uzbekistan signed a wide-ranging joint declaration on intent of developing and deepening of multifaceted cooperation between the two countries.
When it comes to economic relations, Germany is an increasingly important trading partner for Uzbekistan. Midway through 2023, Germany ranked 6th among Uzbekistan's trading partners. Recently, there has been dynamic growth in the volume of bilateral trade, which amounted to approximately 1.3 billion euros in 2022. Development cooperation between Germany and Uzbekistan was significantly expanded in 2019 and 2020. Following the realignment of development cooperation, Uzbekistan will in the future be the only recipient of state bilateral development cooperation in Central Asia. Cooperation focuses on sustainable economic development, training and employment, health, social security and demographic policy, peace and social cohesion, as well as climate and energy climate-friendly economic system.
Currently, Tilo Kleiner heads the diplomatic mission of Germany in Uzbekistan. In contrast, Dilshod Akhadov represents Uzbekistan in Germany.
Dear viewers, right now we are at the Embassy of Germany and with us His Excellency Ambassador Thilo Kleiner. Guten Tag, sir.
Guten Tag.
Thank you for agreeing for this interview. How long you've been working in diplomatic sector?
In diplomacy, I've already worked for about 35 years. So it's quite a long time I spent in the job.
Do you remember how you started your career? Was it your dream to become a diplomat as a child?
No, not exactly. So as a child, I don't know what I really wanted to, but I didn't aspire to be a diplomat. Actually, I got the idea of being a diplomat when I was studying law. So I saw that this is an opportunity which is not a standard legal profession. And at this time, I thought it to be quite interesting to do something which is not confined to a legal profession.
How your background in law helped you in your diplomatic career?
Well, law is a study which helps you to structure your thoughts and to structure unknown problems. And so therefore, this does help. Obviously, beside that, we have sometimes questions which relate to international public law, where I have written my doctoral thesis in. But it's more or less the procedure, how to tackle questions and problems, which helps you in this versatile job. Because as a diplomat, we get every day a new problem or a new question. And the important element is to structure it accordingly to your interests and your strategies so that they fall together with what you really want to achieve in a country.
How many countries you have already visited as ambassador?
As a diplomat, I actually cannot remember. It must be something like 70.
Wow, 70.
But you have to understand something which may have escaped. In my biography, I have been an inspector of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I visited about 55 countries to start with, only for a shorter period of time in order to analyze what the embassy or consulate is doing. And so it's a kind of in-house consultancy. That's what I did. So I actually have been in more than average countries.
Did you face any cultural shocks when you've been in different countries? Or what was the most memorable thing in your career?
No, I'm not the kind of person who gets a cultural shock. I do accept that every nation, every people, and among the nations and people, the individuals, are very much different. So the most important thing for a diplomat is to accept that. And then you don't have a real cultural shock.
So, but still, do you remember anything very memorable from your previous countries that you have already visited and been working to?
Probably the most important moment was when I started to work in Moscow, because at the time I was there, it was the end of the Soviet Union. I actually was assisting at the foundation of the Russian Federation and the end of the Soviet Union personally. I was standing right beside Boris Yeltsin when he was founding the new Russian Federation. So that was probably the historic most important point. Now, today's generations still discuss what this development brought to us, but it's most certain that it is one of the historic moments I have lived through. But there are also like smaller moments, like we were in Trinidad with my wife and my children. So there you see the beautiful sunsets, different people at all these Caribbean islands. I was responsible for 10 countries and 3 dependencies, meaning 13 countries, and we were traveling a lot in the Caribbean Sea. So that was a total different experience. And so every country has its special elements or its special moments in history you're living through. And obviously, this is part of the interest, it's one of these interesting elements of a diplomatic career and life.
Now let's talk about bilateral relations between two countries. What are some projects that are already being implemented?
Well, we have many projects, so this is not easy, but I give you some examples. We have economic cooperation, which is the largest dossier we ever had, about $800 million right now of current projects and future projects. There we're working in the medical sector, rehabilitating the Vilayat clinics, the big oblast clinics. We do work on Green Central Asia, a lot on the nexus between water and climate. But we also have that's economic cooperation, when it is called. But we also have economic relations, business relations with Uzbekistan. There, by far, the largest project is the further development of AGMK, of the Al-Maliksky Combinat, where the KfW, our bank, is engaged with more than 2 billion euros. But obviously, these are only examples, because we work in the textile sector, which is very interesting. And agriculture, which is also important, logistics. We would try, together with Uzbekistan and its neighboring countries, to develop the so-called middle corridor, which means transports from Central Asia via the Caspian Sea to Europe. So actually, it's very difficult to just pick one of the projects. You can have in the metallurgical sector, that's probably the largest numbers. But also smaller projects are interesting.
Can you tell us about the logistics?
Uzbekistan and its neighboring Central Asian countries have a common challenge, and the common challenge is that they are landlocked countries. So in order to facilitate the export of Uzbek goods and also the import of goods which come from Europe or Germany, we need what is called connectivity. And connectivity, more simple, means streets, roads, ports, so hard infrastructure. But it also means that we have some soft measures which actually allow for the throughput of all the goods without major hindrances. So I'm talking about on freight papers, bureaucracy, alongside the borders, port administration, and different things. Because only if this works, this corridor, the second corridor, will be a viable alternative to the northern corridor, which is going through Russia and has now a couple of problems. So we are trying to reinforce the resilience of the Central Asian region, and that means exit conduits for goods and persons.
What about the labor market in Uzbekistan? How would you assess it?
Well, last Friday we had an invitation by the Minister of Labor, Mr. Musayev, and we discussed with the other European ambassadors the migration of qualified workers to Europe. Germany is there right now the leading country. We are working on an agreement getting young qualified Uzbek people to work to Germany, especially in the medical sector, like nurses, but also truck drivers, some engineers, and a lot of different professions where we could offer job. And Uzbekistan is interested to send some of their young people so that they get familiar with the needs of our market and at the same time can earn a living. And for us in Germany, we right now are in a period where we really need workforce. So we have open vacancies in quite a large area. and we need it for the further development of our economy. So the idea is a little bit circular, so that the people would come to Germany, then they would kind of get a training, an education, or a higher qualification, and then they would return after a while. We have talked with the Uzbek government quite intensively, which is giving a lot of support. Learning the language is the most important element, because you can only work effectively in the job if you have a knowledge of the language. In Germany, most of it in German. Some of the jobs you can do in English, but you have to be fluent in one or the other. So that is why we also offering many language courses here in Uzbekistan, and they are in real high demand. We have them always booked out immediately.
My next question is, what kind of sectors in Uzbekistan are needs to be developed?
You know, the problem is this is holistic. So I think everything has to develop in parallel. But what is important right now is the logistics. I think you have now made a good start on this information technology. There's this IT hub and other centers. So this is also important, but I think Uzbekistan is a very good way to do that. Logistics, as I said, is very important. But then in textile, you need good textile engineers. The metallurgical and geological work here has a high quality, so this is needed, but it's already to a certain degree it's there and strongly developed. So therefore the energy sector is going to be interesting, but that is hardware. So that has nothing to do with the qualification of the people. We have now a very ambitious program in having new power stations online. But in order that they are effective, also like the renewable energy which comes online, which is very good, but it would need energy networks which are able to withstand the increased demand. They have, if you use renewable energy, because renewable energy is not as steady as conventional energy from gas, or from, which you don't have right now, from nuclear power stations or coal stations, because they're giving you normally the same amount of energy, with some exceptions, so, but generally it's like that. If you have solar energy or wind energy, you are dependent on light. So you have, for instance, nights where the solar energy is not produced, and you need wind, or you need water. Water is working again a little bit different and can work as a buffer. So, but to have this all effectively together, you need a network which is able to balance the over and under production, and you need energy storage. So that's something which has to be developed, but I know that the government is working hard to actually meet the demands.
Thank you for the interview. It was amazing. Thank you for watching our program and joining us on this diplomatic journey. Stay tuned for our next episodes.